And here are some more headlines for the day. Martha Hart fires back at WWE attorney's comments about Owen Hart's death. Breaking news about a current WWE star having a career-ending injury. The Undertaker reveals why he joined social media. Why WWE changed Owen Hart's harness to quick release. Why Triple H's right-hand man left WWE. Concerning video about a former WWE superstar. We are starting off this video with news from the legacy of Owen Hart, as Martha Hart has replied to some serious comments made by WWE. After making the media rounds recently to highlight Vice's Dark Side of the Ring finale that covered her husband's death, WWE's attorney Jerry McDevitt claimed that Martha only attacked WWE because she didn't like pro wrestling and wasn't interested in getting to the bottom of Owen's death. Unsurprisingly, this didn't sit well with Martha, who spoke to the Daily Beast, saying, "I want to make it very clear. If there was one person on this planet who wanted to get to the bottom of what happened to my husband Owen, it was me. The defense, on the other hand, was doing everything in their power to muddy the waters, as they try to continue to do, in an effort to detract from the case because they didn't have one. I read every single affidavit taken, sat through endless face-to-face depositions, and spent over a year of my life dissecting every solitary fact of this case. To insinuate for 1 second that I, of all people, did not care about the truth behind Owen's death, but instead was more interested in a ridiculous vendetta against the wrestling business, is beyond the pale." Martha went on to say that she isn't surprised by WWE's response, and that the WWE is continuing to do damage control, especially as the company's former CEO Linda McMahon has ties to the Trump administration. This isn't all that Martha has said about her husband's tragic passing at Over the Edge 1999, as she said she was told by WWE that they'd have professional riggers from LA present during her husband's entrance from the ceiling. It's now being reported that WWE had previously suspended the rocket from the ceiling with no problem and there were no issues, though Vince McMahon thought it looked clumsy, as the equipment required to pull this off took too long to unhook. Martha has since claimed that WWE wanted a quick release so that Owen could snap and be ready to wrestle, though that quick release was meant for sailboats and was meant to give with about 5 pounds of pressure. It's also been reported that the rigger's final instructions to Owen was, "As long as you don't pull this cord, you'll be okay," which tragically wasn't the case, despite Owen never pulling the cord. Even over 20 years later, Owen's death remains a difficult thing to talk about, which is partly why Vice's Dark Side of the Ring Season 2 finale was such an interesting watch. During the show, Jim Ross discussed an interaction he had with Owen shortly before the pay-per-view, as he got the impression that The Rocket wasn't confident with the entrance he'd be performing. He said, "I had a feeling that day that Owen was not his normal exuberant, enthusiastic self about what he was doing that night. I remember saying something like, better you than me, I don't like heights." He said, "I don't either." I think he was a little concerned, and look, he's the one who's got to do it. Nobody could do it for him, there's no stunt double. There's a couple little things he said, and maybe more specific what he didn't say led me to believe that he's not totally down with this thing." All these years later, Owen's death still remains one of the darkest days in wrestling, and after both Martha Hart and WWE hit each other with lawsuits, nothing can make up for this terrible tragedy. We are looking into WWE's future next, and given the ongoing situation, it's clear that the company's pay-per-view schedule is up in the air. Though the company is hoping to host SummerSlam this August in Boston in front of a live crowd, it's unlikely this'll happen. And now WrestleVotes has given an update on what the company has on the calendar after the biggest party of the summer. According to their report, the company is still looking at hosting shows away from their performance center, with locations chosen including New Jersey, Georgia, Texas, and Illinois, as well as a Saudi Arabia show in November. Out of all of those events, it's October's Hell in a Cell in Atlanta, Georgia that seems most likely to go ahead, as the Peach State is making efforts to reopen, and Vince McMahon has also stated that if the company is forced to skip the Saudi show, it'll be tacked on to the end of their deal. With the current situation, anything could change between now and when these pay-per-views happen, as the company is still trying to host monthly events in these unprecedented times. We've got news from Buff Bagwell next, as the former WCW star has uploaded a video that's got a lot of people worried. Like many celebrities, Bagwell charges for custom videos on Cameo, but in one $50 video he appeared sporting a bruised-up face, as it looked like somebody attacked the buff one. Despite his quote, "broke face," Bagwell was still full of charisma, saying he was still good looking, but things took an even stranger tone when he spoke about his girlfriend. He said, "I'm about to tear my own house up right the f now. I'm thinking about putting a chokehold on my girlfriend, who is also the cameraman, just to end this. I'm over it." We certainly hope that Buff is okay, as he didn't seem to be in the most clear mind during the video, and hopefully he'll be back to his old fun-loving self before long. Now, we all know that WWE is going through a tough time right now with 0 fans in attendance, and it doesn't help matters that some people want to bring down the entire wrestling entertainment form by calling it fake. When Joe Rogan invited Patton Oswalt onto his podcast, the duo had a lovely discussion, which included the UFC using a very interesting analogy to describe politicians having real-world problems. He said, "We're not under the illusions that they're not real people. It's almost like when they had to admit that WWE was fake. It's like, okay, now we can just enjoy it for what it is. You don't have to have these arguments with your friends over whether or not it's fake." This last comment caught the attention of Oswalt, who pointed out that it's scripted, but that this script calls for incredible risks. He said, "They're scripting out these people. The men and women going, 'In this script, you're going to fall 40 feet onto a table of glass.' Yes, we scripted that to happen, but it's still a person doing that. Like, there's a level of adrenaline junkiness and athleticism that goes beyond, I think, athletics. So when people are like, 'Yeah, wrestling's fake,' yeah, no shit. It's like when you watch a Jackie Chan film, that's a scripted film too. Stick around for the end credits. He just got his skull knocked open. They literally punched a hole through his skull doing this stunt. So you're dismissing something, your definition of fake needs to be tweaked a little bit in this case." Rogan saw his guest's points, and though he described it as different to, quote, "an actual athletic event," he did admit that wrestling is still badass. Of course, we doubt that people making fun of wrestling and calling it fake will stop anytime soon, as there seems to be plenty of people, including comedian Tom Segura, who think they're being original by using this tired old joke. We've got an update from Ember Moon now, as things don't look promising for the former NXT Women's Champion. Before going down with an injury last year, many expected Moon to be on the brink of winning a title on Raw or SmackDown, though the Phenom appeared on WWE Backstage this week, where she got emotional about her injury. She said, "The more and more I sit back and look at everything I've done and what I would redo, I think more about my injury currently and realizing that I may have a career-ending injury. I'm coming back from the hardest injury, and I might not have a chance to redeem myself of all the things I wanted to do, and all the things I want to do in my future. It's so hard to think back and regret when I try to look forward." Though Moon isn't too optimistic about her future, Mark Henry gave her a pep talk by saying she's got a lot left in the tank, and this clearly worked, as the former champion promised she will come back and redeem her past mistakes and regrets. As a trainee of Booker T, Moon has certainly learned her craft from one of the best, and we hope this injury won't be the end of the War Goddess's career. From the Phenom to the Phenom now, as we're ending with news from The Undertaker, who has revealed why he got on social media. Appearing on the Bill Simmons podcast, the Deadman explained why he made the jump into the digital world, saying, "I got a social media account. It's probably less than 2 years, right? You know, the writing was on the wall. I got more matches behind me than I do in front of me. And people are saying like, dude, you need to get yourself out there because your wrestling career's coming to an end. Now it's the time to cash in on the brand, you know, the stuff that you didn't do all these years." Though he added that some people aren't too happy about this move, with some commenters saying their childhoods are over, it's obvious that the Deadman is enjoying his time on social media and getting to do things out of character that were off limits to him for decades. Back to the present now, and we've got news of another major release from WWE, as Michael Mansory, also known as Triple H's right-hand man, has officially parted ways with the company. Though his name may not be well known to most fans, Mansory had been working as WWE's Vice President of Global Television Production, but gave his notice a few months back. First hired in 2009 as a production assistant, Mansory rose up the ranks quickly, with many even suggesting that he would be the one to take over from Kevin Dunn as the company's executive producer when Triple H takes over. In his most recent position, Mansory was the director for many of the company's pay-per-views and TV productions in recent years. And while his departure was announced to the company months in advance, it came as a shock to many who knew the well-liked director. According to sources, Mansory was released because of some contract and money negotiations that WWE and Mansory didn't see eye to eye. In this current global situation, the company is having to make many changes, and we expect the company will still be able to cope following the departure of one of their most important people from behind the scenes. We've got news from AEW next, as although Brody Lee has quickly risen up the roster as the leader of the Dark Order, his debut nearly didn't happen. Speaking on Busted Open Radio, the Exalted One spoke about his March 18th debut and how just 1 week prior, he saw everything change due to the ongoing global situation. He added, "Tony Khan called me and said, look, if you don't want to debut now, we'll wait. You don't have to do anything, we'll wait." Describing himself as like a caged animal, the former Luke Harper said there was no hesitation for him to debut on a closed set, but spoke about competing without a live audience. He said, "I yearn for that AEW crowd, we all do. We all want them to be back, but we also understand that we're performing for a television audience at the same time and the internet audience." Even without the crowd, Lee has done big things as the leader of the Dark Order and may soon be crowned AEW World Champion when he challenges Jon Moxley this weekend at Double or Nothing.